Hey guys, this is the Spyderco Manix 2, and I've been carrying this knife as my primary EDC, or everyday carry knife, for about the last 6 months, and I've really loved it, and it's just been an excellent knife. So, it's really kind of a very flexible knife. It can flex into a lot of different categories. First of all, it's a great EDC knife, or just utility knife, everyday carry knife. It does very well at that. It is a little heavy, it's 5 ounces, so there's lighter options, but it's very solid and very well built. It could be a really great tactical option. There's even a blackened blade version. So, if you wanted a self-defense, or maybe if you're a soldier, a police officer, somebody who wants a more of a fighting type knife, this could be it. And another one that people don't really talk about that much, this could just be a collectible knife. This could just be something that you just really dig the looks, the feel of it, you just enjoy handling it, and you just want it in your collection. And that's a totally valid reason to purchase this knife as well. So, it can really go into a lot of different categories. The blade on here is a really very well designed blade. It's that kind of standard leaf shape that Spyderco is kind of famous for. It's 3mm thick stock, and it is hollow ground. And I prefer hollow grinding on my folding knives because I feel that you keep some thickness and some strength in that blade up there while still coming to an absolutely razor sharp edge. And it is just a really razor sharp edge. The out of the box edge on this was hair shaving sharp. Now they keep that thickness throughout that blade down to way near the end, and then you have a delicate tip on here, which is really good for more kind of utility tasks. You don't drop it on the concrete or anything like that, but I do like that. It is made out of 154 cm steel, which is a very high quality steel. It's the American version of ATS 34, and it's also a improved 440C steel. Very comparable to kind of the VG10 steel that they use in a lot of their knives. And I think the reason that they didn't use VG10 steel in here is that they wanted to produce it in the United States. And there you see Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. I love that Earth part. Why not add a little humor into it? And VG10 steel has some trade restrictions, meaning that you can only produce VG10 steel blades in Japan. So, a very similar steel to VG10. And this knife is produced, or was designed by Eric Glesser. Sal Glesser is the founder of Spyderco, and Eric is Sal's son. So Eric did a very good job on this knife. Now the handle, or I'm sorry, actually the lock on this knife is what's called a ball bearing lock. It's a side lock mechanism similar to maybe like the benchmade axis lock, the cold steel ultra lock, a lot of side action locks, or maybe even the SOG arc lock. And it was a little stiff out of the box, to be honest. And really the way I found that it's best to close this, it has loosened up since, but it's to kind of put the knife down, kind of there, and so that gives you something, and then you put a finger on both sides and close it. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the axis lock, as you see here, you can just take one finger and actuate it very easily. This one's a little bit stiffer, a little bit stronger spring in there, but it's still very easy to do, especially once you get the hang of it and it loosens up a little. Now, the construction on this knife, it is G10 scales. Now, the G10 they use in here is not the super grippy kind. It does have some texturing to it. It's not smooth, but it's not crazy textured. The G10 used in like the Polywog G10, this is a little bit grippier G10. And then if you look at some cold steel designs, those are much more grippy. So it's kind of a medium to low grip G10. But that's not a problem because you get traction and gripping power on this knife in other ways than just the scales. It is mini torque spit construction throughout, so you can take this knife all the way apart and service it yourself, which is always nice, especially if you're working in wet conditions or anything like that. It is, and you can also adjust your pivot point, of course. However, you don't need to. Rock solid lockup, both up and down and side to side as you get this knife from Spyderco. It is partially flow-through design, kind of half, and that's all you need. You don't need full flow-through design. This is enough to let you clean out the inside of the knife and blow pocket lint or anything else out of there. It is steel lined with full stainless steel liners. They're not skeletonized. I kind of wish they were, and they actually have several sprint runs of this knife in green handles, blue handles. I think that the sprint runs have all ended, so if you want to get one of those, it's going to have to be on the secondary market, and they're going to be a bit pricier. But you can get those. A lot of those have different blade grinds, maybe like full flat ground, and they do skeletonize the scales on a lot of those, which would be preferred. But it does give it a very solid, very quality feel in your hand. Now this knife does weigh 5 ounces, so it's not the lightest knife out there. There's much lighter knives out there that can probably do most of the stuff this can. But it feels very quality and very well built. There is a lanyard hole right there. I don't really put lanyards on my knives, especially my folding knives. I do on my fixed blades, but I don't really put lanyards on there. But it's a lanyard pipe. It's not just like a hole. So that acts as your pillar for the pillar construction, and it's much easier to put lanyards in there. And this is just a massive hole. This is paracord, 550 paracord, not hollowed out, and as you can see, it goes through there super easy. And actually, you can put double thick, you put both ends through there, no problem at all. So you can really do whatever you want as far as lanyards go on this knife. Now, the jimping on here is really well done, and this actually has what they call proud liners, basically meaning the liners stick out a little bit and then they jimp it, both here, right there, see those little spikes, and right there. Now some people have complained that these aren't sharp enough. I think that they're perfect, because I think that if you made these really sharp and really dig in and lock in your hand on this part, I think that it'd be uncomfortable. So I think that they did very well on these proud liners. Then here, on the back spine of your blade, there, and then through this troil, or finger troil here, and here, they have some really sharp, very meaningful jimping. It's not going to cut up your hand, it's not going to hurt you, but it really locks you in, and is very meaningful. Now the handle shape on here is a very ergonomic handle shape. It really falls right in your hand. I have hands on the smaller side, but it still feels very, very good in your hand. However, one thing that I will say about it is that it's kind of purpose made for the forward grip, like this, just the standard grip. If you want to go into any other grips like reverse grip or other grips, it's not going to be as good. Now it is decent in reverse grip. You could hold it and use it this way if you wanted to. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you look at another knife, like, where'd it go? Okay, if you look at another knife, like maybe the benchmade mini griptilian, this has a much simpler handle profile. It doesn't have as many cutouts for fingers or anything else. It's not quite as comfortable in the forward grip. However, it is comfortable. But if you go in the reverse grip, it's comfortable. So it's a little bit less specialty and a little bit more versatile. So this is more purpose-built. Now, you also have this finger troil here forward, so you can kind of choke up there. That's really for more kind of fine detail work. Most of the time, I just hold it like this. Now the clip on here is really nice. The clip itself is very strong. However, this is not actually the stock clip or standard clip that comes on it. The standard clip is this kind of mirror polish, super shiny clip. And this clip is the clip actually off of my Delica. So I switched these clips around. And the reason for that is that this clip was black. I stripped it of its paint. And the Delica came with a black clip, and I just didn't understand that. Because there's nothing really black about this knife. You know, it's all silver hardware and everything else. So I put this clip on here. Now this doesn't have the lanyard hole like that, so you can't use the lanyard on this anymore. I don't use the lanyard on it anyway, as I said before, so I don't mind that. And then I took the clip off of there and I stripped it of the paint and put it on here. They're really the same exact clip, you know. If you're curious, I did keep the hardware with the knife. You know, I kept the screws the same and just changed the clip. So it works great. They're the same clip, you know, style, just different finishes on them. And very strong. They're going to retain in your pocket very well. And it is right and left hand reversible. It's tip up only, which is what I prefer, so that's great. And it buries very deeply in the pocket, you know, as deep as it can with this style of a clip. So a little sticks up, but it's not really a problem at all. And you know, with that reversible clip, right or left-handed, with the hole and with the ball bearing lock, this, or cage ball lock, this knife is 100% ambidextrous. You know, a lefty could hold this and it'd be perfectly fine for him. Now, this knife, as I said before, is made in the USA. So that's going to add a little bit of cost to this knife. But if you're somebody that wants US manufacturing, you'll get it in this knife. It's not made overseas at all, which is really nice to see. Okay, so the price on this knife is going to be around the $70 to $80 range. Maybe a little bit less if you go for a combo edge. It seems like a lot of places where I'm looking, the plain edge is bringing a little bit of a premium, but you know, it's worth $5, $10 to get the edge you want, and I prefer a plain edge. You know, the only time I ever prefer a combo edge or full serrated edge is if maybe it's a knife that you're going to use only, you know, solely as a defensive blade, and you just carry it all the time and hope you never have to use it. You know, combo edges or full serrated edges are pretty wicked in that respect. Or maybe if it's for cutting a bunch of rope and line, but you can't really sharpen them very easily. So, you know, I prefer plain edge. But so the $70 to $80 range, that's not super cheap, but I think it's definitely a fair price for this knife. Very good materials throughout, great fit and finish, feel, super smooth action, strong lock. It's going to be durable over the long run. So that's a fair price for this knife. Some competition for this knife would be maybe the benchmade Griptilian series. These don't have G10 handles, but they're going to be a little bit lighter weight. You know, even the full size one of these is, I think, 3 1/4 ounces. This is 5 ounces, so significantly lighter weight. I don't think you're really going to lose any strength. You get the axis lock, and this is the mini Griptilian. And I want to show you something here. If you look at the cutting edge to handle ratio on here, it's kind of out of whack according to some people. You know, you have just under 3 inches of blade length, but of cutting edge, and a lot more handle. I like that because if you have larger hands, if you have gloves or anything like that, you're going to have a lot of control over that edge. The Griptilians are a little bit more 1-to-1 ratio, which is fine too. But if you look, this is the mini Griptilian, and if you look at the cutting edge, they're very close. You know, in this, and this knife, it weighs just about half as much as this one, and is much more compact. So, you know, you get the same cutting edge out of this as you do this. So maybe look at the Griptilians. You know, for just pure EDC, I maybe prefer this one. Maybe this one's maybe a little bit better on tactical arena. But check out the Griptilians. They also have ones that are hollow ground. This is the saber ground. They have the ones with the hole. Some people criticize Benchmade for stealing the hole from Spyderco. I try to stay out of the politics. It doesn't really bother me either way. I think that's kind of more for Spyderco and Benchmade to fight out, but whatever. Another thing you could look into, if you want a Spyderco, would maybe be like the Delicas and Enduras. Here's the Delica, and again, this is going to be much lighter weight. it's not going to have the strength in it, in the blade or anything like that. You look at the cutting edge. So maybe look at the Delicas and Duras, the stretch. So there's some good competition out there. Some really good competition if you want a tactical knife. You're looking for maybe a soldier knife, a police officer knife. This is going to be a much stronger option, the Cold Steel AK-47. That's a really very strong knife. I hope to have a review out on that soon. I'm still trying to get one. But that has the triad lock, super strong locking mechanism. And I think that looks like a really good, very strong knife. Just a little bit heavier than this Manix 2. But check that out. So there's some good competition out there, but you can't really. If you want one of these, I definitely recommend moving fast on it. Not because Spyderco has said they're going to get rid of it or anything like that, and it's new for 2010. However, Spyderco is just kind of notorious for getting rid of products and bringing in new products very quickly. They don't really hold on to anything that long, except with maybe the exception of like the Delicas and Enduras. But you know, if you want one of these, I recommend moving on it fast. You just never know how long they'll be around with Spyderco. So, thanks guys, hope that was helpful, and have a nice day.